ticked over.
It did. All right, you're live, which means I'm gonna post the thing while live.
That's right. Somebody's got to post the link.
Somebody's
Hi,
got
everybody
to.
that's watching.
Things were live. All right, then.
Week 5. We've been doing this for 5 weeks.
Yeah, can you believe it? A whole month.
Bitch lie.
Yeah, I'm trying to find the chat. There we go.
How's everybody doing today? We're just sharing our information. Hello, Kakais5.
Oh, hey, I don't know if they've ever caught a stream before, but I've seen around the comments in Discord. They're fun people.
Oh,
Yeah.
welcome.
Yeah.
Boom, Blaze says. Boom's blazing up. He didn't say Wild Blaze appeared.
That's what I was just about to say. That's what he normally does.
He went straight to attacking us.
Mm-hmm.
What is this? I want to drink some water because I forgot to drink water before the stream.
Uh-oh. Hydrate. Before you dehydrate. Glee's definitely working on work. And there's Thea. Is that the same Thea that I mentioned in the video today? Scrap face reveal.
Face reveal.
I guess. I've been
It's
known
not
to be
my-
around.
Scrat. Awesome.
Weekly face
Weekly
reveal.
Face reveals. That's because you like Scrat's face. It's pretty.
Whoa.
Wow.
Well, Kokais, I don't know how it was pronounced. That's why I didn't say anything and just let Jacob handle it.
Don't worry, I'll butcher it.
No warning, only blood. That is the same thing. All right, good stuff. That's the ICRPG legend right there.
That's what's up.
Yeah. I don't know why I haven't done a review on that one. I played it like 2 years ago.
You probably should.
I should.
You should.
Because it's really good. I gave it some praise today in the video, though.
I know. Your new video is beautiful, man.
Well, thanks, man.
You've been, well, I mean, realistically, was that a hard video?
No.
Oh, okay.
The hard part was trimming it down, because like I wanted to put Dave's Ironbound in there with all the pool points, and then somebody brought up exploding dice in the comments. I was like, oh, that would have been a good one. And there's probably more mouse there. There's a bunch. I had a long list, and I was like, all right, let me just start with a few of these and see how long of a video I end up with.
I mean, I thought it went pretty well.
Yeah, no, it was. That's the thing. Like, I kind of am hesitant to do the list videos, like top 5, because it's so typical YouTube. But at the same time, so I've done that one, and then I guess it was at the end of the year last year, or maybe at the beginning of this year, where I looked back at a bunch of TTRPGs that I reviewed, and I was like, where are they now? It is fun to go back and look at the stuff, because I've been hammered so hard with all these different TTRPGs. They've just been coming at me left and right, so it's like, you know, kind of nice just to take a step back and like, man, you know, let's look at all this stuff that has happened in the past year or so.
Oh, Thea's on a Daggerheart kick.
Oh no. Maybe that could be a Predator feature. No warning, only blood. Axe first in the first round of combat deals extra. Hey, you know.
No, that's something to consider.
Do we? I think I got rid of them.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
But they're in the...
Well, yeah, they're in the thing. We can just drag them back in here. Let's see if I can find them. They're either there in the Word document. Probably the Word document.
I'm looking right now. We're still getting stuff organized. I mean, honestly, we've cracked. Woo. I'm only a little tired. I spent the whole day at an amusement park with my daughter yesterday, and I am feeling it today. We were in the sun. It finally hit above 80 degrees, and it was in the sun all day. It was wonderful, but I'm definitely low today. Recuperating.
And I have a cat now.
What'd you do? What'd you put in there?
I have a cat now. He's...
Aw. Pretty.
He wants attention. So yes, What?
No, I was going to talk about cats. Keep going.
I was going to say, I dug into the lore a bit this week. So Jacob is out of the loop there. So let's see. Let me find my lore page. I've tried to write up an introduction to the lore. Cap. This isn't going to work. So we had talked before about there being, I think we talked about it on stream, about there being kind of like this once upon a time paradise place. That was the Moss and Stone, where things were nice, and then something happened, drove everybody away, and that's kind of become legend and myth. Like, did the Moss and Stone actually exist? So I was diving into more of that, and I really like the idea of Moss not so much being the divine entity, but its vessel of communication, if that makes any sense. So there is what I am currently calling the green voice. So whether that's Mother Nature or some deity or whatever, that is kind of the higher being in this setting. And they communicate through the moss. Like, the moss was their blessing. So the moss was, food, medicinal uses, clothes, and insulation for their homes. But stone I wanted to be important too, because it's in the name, right? So their homes were made of stone structures and stuff, which is, okay, that makes sense. That's kind of obvious, but wasn't enough for me. So I really wanted to start leaning into the stone remembers kind of thing. So the stones are their history. So like, you will find old etchings and stones and stuff but maybe a little, and I know we were talking about no magic, but I was thinking about leaning into it just a little bit. So there might be some magical stones, like, not in the sense that it gives you fireball powers, but they have memories in the stone. So like, when you're holding them, you can see what happened before, get some vibes, for lack of better words. Now, I did consider the Mouse Ritter tablets. It would be interesting if we had stones, so with some magical powers that could be used, but like, when you roll a 1, they shatter. Gone. You could use the stones to replace scrolls, but I had already considered the idea of something called Tinker Tools, which I thought fit a lot better.
They do.
But you could have both.
I was just about to say, you could have both. I personally, and this is just my thought right off the bat, is the stones are actually a little bit more potent.
Yes, that was that.
But they're also more rare.
Yeah. So on one hand, you could do the stones are super rare, hard to find, super good, and you can use them multiple times, but you got to roll, and whenever you roll a 1, it shatters. Or you could make the stones basically scrolls, where they're just one use and then their power is gone. And then maybe you could recharge it instead of just ditching it. You could, like, when you go to a safe zone, you can recharge it. And then your Tinker Tools could be a class feature. And the Tinker Tools always work until you roll 1, and then they break. You could do that. You could flip-flop it. So that's something to consider. Or the stones could just be more roleplay stuff. Instead of you throw a fireball, it's like you get memories of the old, or you get some ancient secrets.
Well, that's what I actually am leaning a little bit more that way, because how cool would it be to have a character who, like, you it's a cool reward, a cool story, but also it's like, oh, by the way, this stone has a memory. You're following, you absorb the memory of Sister Chikawa, and she actually discovered there's a tunnel underneath in the larder, that it's underneath the, you realize it's underneath the table, and oh, there's a secret tunnel that leads out of wherever, that would be really cool to do too.
I'm catching up on chat, but I was listening.
Yeah, you're good.
Both for EZD6 and Daggerheart, because the stone needs the blood of predators. Ooh. No, the stone's going to be a little more sanctuary-esque, if that's even a word. Protection, providing kind of thing. Now, so we have this Garden of Eden, basically, where things start out. And then, well, that's the Moss and Stone. I saw you looking kind of confused over there.
Me?
Yeah.
No, I'm itching my ear.
Oh.
But I...
All right. So anyway, you got this Eden kind of state. And
yep.
Then, so what I'm thinking, everybody's there, good and happy, paradise. One of those moss monsters, which I'm thinking about calling hollowed tongues. or hollow tongues.
Ooh,
Well,
okay.
because even though they're like snarling and growling and all that stuff, you hear a bunch of whispers kind of in your head when they're nearby. So when you're playing the game and you start hearing all these weird whispers, you know you're in for a bad time.
Oh.
But
How about building the fear aspect?
yes. So
Keep going. Sorry.
so anyway, what this monster, it could be a snake, could be something, whatever you want it to be in your world. It shows up in this paradise and, you know, kills a bunch of people, obviously, but they fight it and kill it. But that startles everybody's faith. And this is the moment that's known as the silent heresy, because everybody started losing their faith, but not like outright saying it. It was just silent questions and doubt and everything. And that kind of ruined this Eden-like place, and the moss flushed them out. But the moss flushed them out to protect them, to make them move on into the wilds, because I haven't figured out what corrupted. Well, actually, yes, I did. I'm sorry. I decided that the moss was a reflection of your soul. So, like, the monsters that just want to eat and consume everything, when they get a hold of this moss, they mutate into that kind of thing. Does that make sense?
Yep.
All right. So that way, if we have our priest specializations or jobs, they can use the moss in a better way. But it does take a devout individual, right?
A devout.
Music is a touch loud. That one was, but it looks like it's dipped down.
So it does give a little bit more option in that whole priest realm, friar realm that I was hoping for too.
Yeah. Still kind of iffy on that part. I like the idea of the moss being a mirror to one's soul kind of thing, but
a mirror to multiple souls.
because you know that would explain why, you know, the nasty snake gets it and he just becomes this mutated monster.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's that. Some people believe it's actually happened. Some people don't care, you know, but most people are just trying to survive. But the priests will be like, oh yeah, that was the great silent heresy. You know, I know that story, blah, 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 blah. And I told you why we're calling the moss monsters hollow tongues. So yes, the ghostly whispers. So imagine you're traversing through the woods and you start hearing these weird whispers and you're just like, oh crap, one of those things is around. You might not know you're there yet, but you know there's one nearby. So
my one note is saying I'm not connected to the EZD6 playset. Interesting. I'm gonna close out and reopen. It like disconnected me from what we were reading and
Terrible.
looking at.
Terrible. You lost your rights.
Give me 1 second while I reopen this.
So that's it. That's why I was thinking maybe we could do something with stones, which I kind of led with. Why we can make a
this is a cool way of tying it in and mechanically, and it's not over magical.
Right.
It fits the red wall magical feel.
Well, you could
Because there
also
was the visions. If I don't know if you remember, I don't know how much you read. Like, I believe it was Martin the Warrior. He like was looking at the mural on the wall, and all of a sudden he had like a vision from.
Okay. I don't know anything about Red Wall. Like, I don't remember anything that I have read of it. Yeah.
Oh, we're gonna have to read together.
Gotta do something. So, what was I saying? Yeah, you could play a game, a session. You could run your whole campaign with none of the stones in them, then you would have no magic, and it would make perfect sense, right?
Correct.
Like, the stones are rare. So, that's something, I guess we'll put that on the board as something to work on. Magic stones.
Right, because of what level do you want to have the magic be part of this, right?
Yeah.
That's kind of where we're at.
Magic stones. Make them function like scrolls, though. Like scrolls. Can be recharged in safe zones, or make them... That's not how you spell that. Their own thing. Red Wall is very dark, especially for kids. That's my favorite, though, when something seems like a kid's book and then there's those other layers and you're just like, holy crap, this is dark.
I've been in many Redwall discords and groups where they're like, this isn't for kids. And I'm like, well, no, it's for both. That's the beauty of it. And Brian, the author there, does a fantastic job. Have you ever read his Castaways of the Flying Dutchman, I think it's called? Michelle, correct me if I'm wrong. We own it. But it's fantastic. Like, Mason's read it, but there's this like dark undertone that you only pick up as an adult. It's so good. It's good.
I believe it. So, all of that out there now that I've just given you the major exposition dump. Do we want to work on safe zones? Or...
I mean,
and traveling, or hammer out some jobs. And actually, hang on. I'm sorry. Did you find the predator abilities, or do I need to go find them real quick?
I did not. I'm having an issue with my OneNote, so I'm trying to resolve that. I'm not sure what happened.
All right.
I got signed out, and
predator abilities. They're in the OneNote. So what was it? It was from Blaze. It was Out for Blood, Give Me Blood. What was it? Only Blood. And he's saying acts first and deals extra damage.
What tab are the predator abilities in? Is that in the
I put them in the
jobs
Word document?
Oh, it's in the Word document.
Yeah.
Okay.
Making your life hard, I know.
It's all good.
All right, so we got that written down. We can work on safe zones if you want, or we can like really try and finalize some jobs.
Hi, Twice Dead Mage.
You missed the entire lore dump of Moss and Stone. Have predators enhanced and developed from being near or fused with the magic stone, so you have to hunt predators. Well, the predators are... Oh, no, I'm about to lie. I was about to say the predators are the moss monsters, but predators anything that wants to kill you, really.
Yeah, I was saying eat you and kill you, right?
Yeah.
Did you want me to read your Welcome to Moss and Stone setting introduction?
No, because I just went over the whole thing. It's a bit long for a read.
I know.
So.
It is pretty cool, though.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So safe zones?
Let's work on some safe zones.
Safe zones. I want to drag it over here. I'm going to put a thing right there. Safe zones. Make it bigly.
What does bigly mean?
Bigly. Bigger than the others.
Bigly. With smiles.
Ha.
I mean, we haven't even told the people what we're doing this Saturday.
What are we doing this Saturday?
Okay, we're doing nothing, I guess.
Rogue Octopus? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
I made a post about it. I made a post.
Alright, let me pull up my Excalibur, and I'm going to exit out of OneNote because it's not working, and we're going to focus on safe zones. So my idea for safe zones I brought up before was that you're traveling. It's obviously travel is going to be a little bit more stressful. That's where all the predators are. That's where all the, rat groups are, the dangers essentially. And your safe zones, which can be changeable, are going to be your main locations, and it's going to be your abbeys, your towns and stuff like that. Maybe even little camps that are getting set up. So I love the idea of being able to set up safe zones, but also it allows a tool for the narrator or the rabble rouser or whatever you want to call yourself, to be able to destroy safe zones to help generate that fear. Because that's the gist of the safe zone.
The camp's not a safe zone, right?
No, it's more like you're establishing an area. It's beyond a camp. So like establishments, yeah.
That's not how you spell establishments.
You were close.
Establishments.
But I really like the idea, like, well, we know there's a newly established or a new settlement that's popping up down in the southeast, and we were heading, you're like, we're gonna go there, we're gonna see what they need for help, we're bringing supplies because the father or when somebody asked us to from here, whatever it may be. You show up there and it's wiped out completely, generating the story and stuff like that. Or you're go ahead.
Does EZD6 Wasted World doesn't it have some kind of tier or rating for cities?
I think it does.
What do they call them? Forts or something like that? In there?
Yeah.
Strongholds.
Strongholds. That sounds better.
Yep. I was thinking there was some kind of rating because that determines how much supplies and what you can get out of them. It's still that abstract kind of thing, like
absolutely
gives you all that wiggle room. But I was thinking there was some kind of tier. Holds? Is it holds?
Holds. It's just a hold. Yep. The holds of the wasteland, and then I won't read it. The word strongholds in there though. That's where so it holds stronghold. And so they have wealth levels, they have hold sizes and stuff like that. But they actually have a dice to roll for what supplies are available at the hold for that week. So that actually is a fluctuating thing.
Okay, it's not the size of the hold.
I was picturing we were doing more of a size or a growth, like size 1 hold or safe zone. Only you can get your basic food and water. You're not going to be trading supplies there. That's pretty much just a little very weak, not well guarded.
And if you wanted to randomize it, you could. Like if you're doing a hex crawl, you could say, okay, there's an establishment over here, and when you get to it, you roll to see how big it is. So,
that's true. Absolutely. That's true. We can put that in there.
Would like to have ranked tiered safe zones. Basic bare necessities. That's not how you spell necessities.
Simple bare necessities.
Yeah. Exactly what I was thinking. Rank 2. I'm just trying to get an idea. So we just have dot rank.
But the idea is like the better, at the top you can get everything, including rest and stuff like that. Like,
and it may cost more.
Yep, exactly.
I did like, let's see, Twice Dead Mage. He gave me an idea here. Being able to create a safe zone if you camp somewhere hidden under stones and a hole made by your badger could be safe. Not so much a safe zone in the sense where you stock up on supplies, but still a safe zone.
A rest point.
Yeah, where you can maybe consume your own materials to rest and restore HP.
That could be the rank 1.
Yeah, it's just a safe spot.
It's literally just a spot you can sleep for the night.
Yeah.
But
might
that's
have to
where rank
provide
2 would
food.
be your basic, where there's actually like, there's a small farm and there's a community established. And maybe that's the difference, is rank 1 is it's a camp, rank 2 is a small community, rank 3 is a large community. And then we flesh out the details of what that means. That way it's not too many things,
Yeah. So I'm thinking. But I like that idea.
Necessity is a shirt with 1 collar and 2 sleeves.
Yeah, that took me a minute to figure out what she was saying, but I got there.
Hey, BK, we're using Excalidraw to share notes. We're both actually in it, able to write and to plan, and it's really a fantastic tool. Aw. Took a shower today, bud. So we could write good at the end of that. You were having too much fun. Jacob sells. You do just the M.
Alrighty, so safe zones. So, I mean, do we need to like break these down in more detail since that's what we're working on?
Yeah, but what is the details that you need? Because we have to also talk about the supplies, because
That's another one.
that's because it's part of the safe zones. Like obviously, rank 1, you're not going to replenish supplies. Rank 2 is going to be like a D6 worth of supplies can be replenished, and a rank 3 is 2D6 or something like that. And then maybe there is a rank 4 where you just can replenish all of your supplies. And that's going to be like your only 1 or 2 of those on a map. I mean, that's also up to the GM. So this is something you and I were discussing the other day. Was I wanted to create a world map with, including all of what we're doing, with its own places and stuff like that in the lore of what we're giving. And but I also, of course, want people to be able to feel comfortable. So and correct me if I'm wrong, how we're designing the book is going to be like the first part is going to be all the mechanics, and then the second part of the book is going to be the lore of why we have these mechanics, and even a setting to let people play in.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And so like with that, it's going to have the map's going to have all the hexes on it, and it's going to have the safe zones that we make, and then obviously areas for the rabble rouser, narrator, GM, whatever title you wish to use for yourself.
Rodent Wrangler.
Rodent Wrangler. Actually fantastic, by the way. Imports and exports to these safe areas. I mean, you could go that deep, and we want to leave it EZD6 feeling, and that way when you show up, and we could put suggestions in there, of course, but we're not going to make any actual tie downs to all of that kind of information, correct? Where
Right.
it's like, yeah.
Correct.
Exactly what we're talking about, Thea. T-I-T. Oh, no. Keep going. I was abbreviating the name.
So, all right. So in Wasted World, supplies are your ammo and your food and water. So we don't have
Correct.
guns. I mean, there are going to be bows, but for the most part, they're probably mostly melee. So what are supplies going to be in this one?
Well, it's definitely going to be your food, water, bandages, bare necessities, repairing your clothes.
That's right. We had talked about it being basic bandages and stuff.
Yeah.
Right.
Because I mean, obviously, you're going to be using this kind of things, but your arrows, repairing of your goods, stuff that like you're not going to sit there and just be like, okay, I need to roll a DC 15 check to repair my bow. It's just this is where you do it in safe zones, or repair my sword.
Yeah, well, and
sharpen my blade.
That's what I really like about the Wasted Worlds supply thing. It's just an abstract resource, and it's like you just track one thing, but use it where you need, right? So it's like,
Correct.
Are you hungry, or are you out in the middle of nowhere and you don't know where you get to next? So maybe you just risk not having ammo and instead make it food. So,
right. Well, what's really fun too about this is like you can, your fail forward mechanic is something that like, you can continue, but as you're climbing over the gorge, your bag rips open and drops a bunch of your stored nuts into the ravine, and you have to lose a supply die or two.
Yep.
So I really enjoy that. And so this ties into the supplies also. We talked about, the first time we talked about supplies, what were the numbers? Did we have numbers on that?
On supplies? No, I can't remember if it was when we were chatting Monday morning or if it was last stream. We were talking about the difficulty. It's like, well, let's put it where we think it should be, and then players can adjust as needed. Like we decided Wasted World might have been a little on the lenient side, and since we're running a little more survival-esque kind of feeling, we were thinking about lowering how much supplies you could carry and stuff. And then then if people wanted even harder, they could make it, and if they wanted easier, they could make it. And we're gonna aim for what we think is good for this setting.
I feel like such a loser. I run 13 Pathfinder games a week, and I'm not 100% sure what he's talking about.
It's a feature you just don't use.
Apparently?
I'm working on small creatures that you can summon with the summon pet ability. I'm working on an alien creature called Unnerving Baby. It looks normal at first glance, but it has not blinked for days. That's not creepy at all. All right, so traveling. Are we going to be in a hex grid? Is that what we want to do, or do we want
to use? I was going to use hexes
or something a little more vague, like.
Sure, it's funny. I find hexes extremely vague because you never know what people can put in them.
They are, but I'm thinking of folks who have never used a hex grid thing, and like that could be a little. Oh, what's this? I don't understand. You know, a whole new concept, but they're picking up EZD6. If you could say something like, "Hey, each day of travel consume X supplies."
Right, and that's where I like the hexes because it's. One day is one hex travel.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
You can do that,
but I mean that's fine, and maybe that's just something we suggest at our table. But, or interesting. I mean, we don't have to tie it to hexes for sure, but we can make it a suggestion of like one hex or one day.
Do you remember how Try Keep Tactics did their distances? Like it functioned the same, but he told you, hey, if you use hexes, it's this. If you use squares, it's this. If you use range bands, it's this. If you use abstract zones, it's this. Do you remember that?
Yeah, that was more for combat, right?
Yes, but I'm thinking something like, we don't have to go through each one, but just a general, hey, here's the foundation, and if you want to use hex, just make it this or something. So,
yeah.
One day, one supply. Is that what we're doing?
Yeah, I mean, so let's bounce around some thoughts here. Originally, we wanted to also be able to point to documents. So if we stick to the same relative supply rules as Wasted Worlds, and we say, hey, check out Wasted Worlds document page 45, we just stick with what they have. And let me reread what they have, or put it on the screen, whatever's easier. But spend one supply per night on rations. Or you gain no overnight healing.
Yeah.
3 nights without rations and you start to die, and you lose a strike each day until dead. Any significant combats or shootouts within a 24-hour period supplies 1 supply, which is something we talked about changing. And then they have shooting with an assault rifle, but we're not using assault rifles and SMGs. So I do not, even as I'm reading this out loud, I think we just need to make our own. But maybe we reference that we pulled the idea, because I would love to always be pointing back to Scotty's work and where we're getting some of these thoughts from.
Yep. Yeah.
Sorry, I had to process some of that out loud with you. And then the last bullet point under supplies, that for the first part, there's actually a second part too, which we can talk about in a minute. Carrying 5 total supplies. With a backpack you can carry 10, and then there's the inclination that allows you to carry 3 more, so you could, with a backpack and the inclination, carry a total of 13 supplies, which seems like a lot to me.
It is.
Now for this one we could argue group supplies.
A party resource.
Yeah. Yes, Austin Walker, we would absolutely allow that. That would be foraging for food and water.
So if it's a party supply, they just use 1 supply and that feeds everybody, or?
Well, that's what I'm trying to figure out. That's what I'm trying to. I'm just throwing thoughts out there.
That'd be a lot easier than everybody doing their own supply thing.
Correct. So the group tracks the supply, and
it'd be neat. It'd be neat if you did that, and you had different resources you could take care of. So, like, let's say you had health and magic points. Everybody gets to use 1 supply, but you decide what that refills. Let's see, EZD6 only has strikes, so we decided against weapon decay, right, and degradation.
We did. I go back and forth with it though, because like every time we talk about it, I'm like, I like the idea of having it. But I think what I would do at my table, and I'd put, remember we talked about making this an option, and just being that it's an option to have weapon that, you know, just destructive and weakening.
And we looked at the cobbled weapons too.
We did, yeah.
Yeah, and we decided not to do that, and I think it's the right choice because
I think so. I think some tables will put it on for sure.
Yeah.
But I think vanilla of what we're trying to do.
Especially with the harvester guy, if he stays.
Correct.
So you got food and water, which you need to consume in order to restore 1 strike when resting, right? And maybe that's a safe zone perk. 1 night with resources consumed, you refill all your strikes versus just 1.
You know what? That's not a bad idea.
All right, let me.
That's so, and to make this feel less post-apocalyptic, because it's not really that way. You guys just got kicked out of Eden, essentially.
Yeah.
To make this feel less post-apocalyptic, I like the idea that you're traveling as a group. You are a group. That is what you are doing. So the group supply, I enjoy far greater than the individual supply. We're a post-apocalyptic survival setting. You're very much about yourself for the most part, where Redwall is all about the community. And so having the group supply, I think, captures the community feel a little bit more, where like this is your group's supply.
I feel like it comes out to the same. It's just easier to math or easier to track if you just say, here's 1 party resource, you guys spend it how you want. I mean, otherwise everybody's gonna be fighting like, I'm gonna loot the body first, you know, get my supplies. Or
Correct. Well, and I think that you want that fight in a post-apocalyptic survivalist feeling.
Yeah,
You want that, like that's a fun role-play mechanic to have, where I don't Jacob doesn't think that that's necessary in a Redwall setting where it's more of a team effort. So I'm just throwing thoughts out there how it's going to feel different, because we also don't want it to be the same as Wasted World, because you might as well just go play Wasted World and change the species of rodents.
Yep.
So
Austin says optional options of optioning. That's right. Somebody's been reading the nuts manual.
That's great.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the limitations on the amount of supplies. Do we do something like, well, the entire group has 10 supplies. Each backpack adds to that number of supplies?
I feel like 10's too much. I was just gonna say 5. I
was gonna say 5 originally too. So
yeah, if 1 supply is for everybody in the party, then yes, 5 should be plenty.
Perfect. Thank you. Because that's why I hesitated on the number, because I was gonna say 5 at first.
Because I mean, your rodents, you're going to be naturally fairly good at foraging, so I feel like you'll have opportunities, unless you're in the hex that's like you're in the middle of a desert. You know, you're gonna have to roll 5+ to find food or something.
Yeah.
So
and remember, food, it's not just food though, it's also weapon maintenance, clothes maintenance, your bandages, your
well, that was kind of my next question here. We got food and water is easy, but like, because the supply, we're keeping it abstract, right? Where it can be any of those things I got listed. So how does that work when you forage? You're like, I want to go forage for supplies. You still get to make it whatever you want, right? So if let's say you're in the middle of a desert but find a junkyard, you'll be able to find equipment repair tools, but that's still a supply, which you could turn into food.
Correct. I mean, so that's the problem with an abstract, right? Or are you saying only make it food and water?
No, I'm just trying to figure out how this is going to work, because
well, that's the problem with the abstract. So that's where now we're talking about the line between crunchy and
well, and we're not tracking bullets and arrows. But we could. Do we even want to say if you have a ranged weapon, you consume an additional supply every day?
I mean, that's what they say in Wasted World.
Now that's going to be a bane to the party resource.
Exactly.
So
And that's why I'd rather not, unless we were to up the power of ranged weapons, which I don't think is worth it.
yeah.
I think keeping it basic, because in that junkyard they find a canteen that has water in it.
Yeah, I'm thinking it might just need to be food and water, and then you can also flavor it as basic bandages, and that's why you restore after a full night's rest.
Sure.
And there's no equipment degradation, so that's, I'll put a nope.
That was, so the arrows and equipment repair was just more flavor and mechanics of sitting around, so, which can still be easily done through roleplay.
Yeah.
Food, I mean, if you think about a rodent too, what is their drive is often food and water. Even in the books, the Redwall books and stuff, like the main drive was food. So,
and maybe what you could do is if, say, you could give the players an option, like if you run out of supplies, pick from the list, the following list, what happens to you the next day. And that could be, you didn't have enough supplies to eat. Now you have a bane to like strength related tasks in melee. You ran out of ammo. You have a bane to ranged attacks or something. Or you just can't use ranged attacks anymore. Your equipment is now in shoddy condition. Your armor is now one additional mark or something. So, if you were normally a 5+, now you're a 6+. Because it'd be harder to save your defense. You think like that, or?
I was thinking the strikes side of it, like,
or you just take a strike a day.
Just take a strike a day, but that's a really fun, unique roleplay element of it. So,
and that lets you choose what the supplies actually were and what took the blow for you.
Yeah, that's true.
So
that's kind of a fun, like, well, we need to really focus on getting to X, Y, and Z, or doing X, Y, and Z, because now we're all taking a penalty. And that's kind of a fun group penalty to take.
Yep. No food. Bane to strength tasks and melee.
And so this would probably go in the suggested setting of things that you could do, right?
Yeah. We say no ammo, just can't. No more ranged attacks.
Yeah.
No more ranged attacks. You must have a ranged weapon in order to take this. Just all the melee people say, yeah, man, no ammo, I'm good.
Look at my sword has no ammo.
Ah, dang it. What was the other one? Shoddy equipment. Armor saves become +1. And that's... You could also just, if you could come up with 6, you could just roll a d6 to see which hindrance your party gets.
Yeah, I was just thinking the same thing too.
Yeah. And then that way, if most of the party was melee, just the one ranger takes the hit on the no ammo. So could work out.
Yeah, but it allows for creative solutions.
Yep.
Such as Twice Dead Mage, giving the, well, I'm pull out my sling and see if I can find some stones so that they're not completely out.
Yeah.
The other thought I had was, I lost it. Oh, giving supplies and or something that increases your supply limit as a story reward is really fun.
You get a beetle bug thing, pack mule.
That's exactly what I was just thinking. Like, oh, you did a lot of awesome work for this settlement. Well, they've now given you a pack beetle to carry stuff around with, and your supplies increases by 3.
That might even be one of the perks to the, what we call the bug master job.
Yeah.
Like one of the specializations. If you have a bigger beast, you can carry 5 extra supplies or something. Tetra style inventory. No. I saw It wasn't quite Tetris, but I did see, and I have it saved somewhere in my archive of ttrpg things. Somebody made an inventory system that was meant to be dropped into multiple other ttrpgs, and it was neat because like it factored in bandoliers and backpacks and satchels. Like they did different things.
Oh, I have one that's kind of like that.
Yeah, this was a little thing you could just get online for free. But it's pretty cool. Like,
mine's just like a little book that has like suggested to add to any TTRPG, and it had something very similar to that. I'll have to see.
I'll
have to snag that up later.
But it was cool. It's like, you know, this type of thing takes up this many slots. This one takes up this many slots, and you know, like this little bandolier can only hold jewelry, small kind of things. You know, it was neat.
Yeah. It doesn't quite fit the EZD6 setting.
No, it doesn't, because I think the more you put on, it started hitting some of your stats. Like you're getting too much stuff on you. But it was a neat concept. I liked it. I found that out a long time ago, man. All right. So I like that. That is a good thing. So let's put that. So let's hammer out safe
The one
zone.
thing that I thought was cool, but I don't know if it's gonna. It will kind of matter. So like, say you end up battling a group of rats that, you know, ambush you and they want to take all your stuff, and you beat them. Whether that's chase them away, kill them, whatever your group does. Equipped foes. So this is from the Wasted Lands, and so just think about the group of rats. The equipped foes have a 4+ chance of carrying 1 supply. So I thought that was kind of a cool thing too that we could pull, and some of it depends on your setting. Are you having roving war bands of rats around like they do in a lot of the books? Are you going to have that group of stoats that are going to try to sneak into your team, you know, your players' camp and steal from them? But is this something that we could consider having?
It would be on enemies that aren't wild or bugs.
Hence the equipped foes.
Yeah.
So
you could.
That's how they.
What's the roll? Isn't it just like a 3 or 4+ or something?
It's a 4+.
Yeah, it's pretty easy. Which also makes me feel like the supplies are going to become less important if every time you kill something you can just roll. It's nice to beat something and then roll and get loot, but like that might make supplies too easy.
Fair enough.
I know not.
Well, it might be something that we could change it to a 6+, or what?
I don't know.
Oh, okay. Or not. Or it's just something maybe the RR just gives us a reward. Keep it in that bag.
Even at 5, I mean, how are we harvesting supplies? I guess maybe that's a question. Can we just roll to harvest when we're traveling, or?
Right. I guess that is something that we need to keep in mind.
Let's make green. Harvesting, gaining supplies.
Because obviously you have your. I mean, we keep it abstract, and you have it where it's. Regardless of you gathering berries along the way, you still have to spend your supply die at the end of the day. You know what I mean? Because you're using your supplies, whatever those are, because it's abstract.
Well, remember, like, we got the bowl or whatever that gets a boon, or like, not even a boon, it's just a special thing. He's always able to find supplies. So like, I'm really
how we worded it is not for supply die.
That's right.
He's always able
it was
to find specifically
something.
Correct. So there's a part of me that, regardless of foraging and all of that, like, you can still forage, but the way we worded it is that doesn't add to your supply die. Let me pull it up. Do you have it up right now?
No. But I was also thinking, like, if it was the foraging thing, like, I was in favor of making supplies very hard to get, or at least hard to get. That way that guy would be more useful. That would make that perk shine. But I forgot about what we leaned into. It's like, no, you find something every time. So that works.
Did we take it out? Oh, it was actually the mouse, always able to forward something.
Yeah.
And something doesn't automatically mean good. They could bring back a skull of a rat, indicating that there's danger nearby, or it could be something good, like supply or food. Excuse me.
Yeah.
Now, like you said, see, I often want to just leave it in the rabble rouser's choice of, well, they're running this, your mouse or your person who has the boon to foraging, sure, they roll 2d6 and they roll a 6, so it allows them to find a supply worth of stuff, but most of the time they're gonna find, like you said, a hint or an item that they can use, or a, you know, whatever it may be. Oh, I found a little hole in the wood and it had a shield in there that somebody stored made out of an acorn cap.
All right. So going back to how we actually harvest them, is it just once a day roll you get when traveling?
Yeah, but now you just have mechanics that are fighting each other.
Do we?
Because every day you spend a supply, but you also roll to see if you use that supply or regain that supply.
So maybe supplies are only available in safe zones? It's where you stock up?
And that's kind of where I'm leaning. Or, you know, available at safe zones, or the rabble rouser can reward it for certain situations. I guess it depends. What level do you want this travel to be hard?
I was just thinking, man, if safe zones are the only place you can get supplies, then that mouse becomes really valuable. If he can roll to get supplies while traveling, if he has a chance of it.
But there's also the job we're talking about. The harvester could potentially provide supplies, right?
It might be one of his... He's making weapons and stuff, and poisons and potions, so... Nothing consumable.
I mean, maybe we change the mouse to a boon to find supplies, so it's not just a guarantee. Right?
Yeah, I mean, I like that idea. I'm just thinking what makes sense for the setting. It's kind of weird that these creatures can only get basically prepared foods in safe zones. Where, I mean, they're animals. They're usually out and about.
I'm not disagreeing with that.
Unless you bring the moss into it. Say, look, sure, you can harvest and eat other animals or hunt for your berries or whatever, but like, you need moss as a supply in order to survive, because it gives you the proper amount of nourishment, it heals your bruised and battered body, blah 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 blah. So you can say, when adventuring, you consume this many supplies a day, and your supply is moss. And then that way the safe zones harvest moss. Or like grow and harvest it, I mean.
Yeah. They grow it upon the stones.
No.
I mean, moss grows on stones. And that would fit the slight magic element of the stones imbuing into the moss having a supernatural filling of the body.
So
it's such a unique yin and yang of like life-giving moss, deadly killing moss, monsters, right?
Yeah. So you could say, yep, you know, duty being animals, you can find and harvest food fine, but you need the moss to keep you in adventuring condition. Yeah, then you could say, if you don't have that moss, that's why you start losing a strike, and you may never die because of it, but you will go down to 1 strike.
Oh, it's funny. I was going down that if you die from it, you become a moss monster.
Now that's if you die in the swamp.
That's cursed moss in the swamp.
So what do you think? That might.
I like that gives it an element of, like, you need food and water, period. Like,
yeah.
Right? But this is an element of a supply or an item that you need beyond that. Like, as a mouse, as these critters, finding food and water, that's easy.
But then the supply becomes strictly food. And then your penalties for not having any doesn't make much sense. Unless they're all like your strength starts leaving you, but like the no ammo wouldn't make any sense. Or shoddy equipment.
It could be all of it, though. So keep it abstract. But one of the elements of it is the moss. Hence why, okay, yeah, you're doing a great job at gathering food, but you're not finding any moss. You're running out of that supply.
Yeah, but so, I mean, if you only...
So what that means, that if you are in the desert, the argument is you are running out of water and moss. And so we're going to cost you 2 supply a day for this area.
But why does that make your equipment no good?
Because you're doing stuff, man. It's wearing it down. I don't know.
Dang it. All right, so...
This is that weird keeping it abstract or making it mechanical.
Maybe you get prepared foods from the safe zones. But a 6+ you can harvest your own resources if the environment allows.
Then you don't cost a supply a day.
Yeah.
I mean, that would be the simple way of doing it.
And you can't take it with you. I don't know why you would.
It's temporary.
Yeah, it's just for that day.
Yeah.
That makes more sense, because, like, don't creatures a lot of times go without eating? You know, that's why every time they find food, they're just on it, because they don't know where their next meal's coming from or when it's going to be.
Yeah, it fits it, yeah.
All right, so...
I like the moss.
I do too, because it reinforces, you know, the moss is important, even for those who aren't religious or following all that in the setting. They're like, what? Hey, the moss is good. It keeps us alive.
Yeah.
Unnerving, baby. His anatomy seems slightly off, and his eyes stare right through you as if you were hiding inhuman knowledge. Whoa. Oh, is Glee making more fancy stuff?
Yeah, Glee's working hard for us.
Okay, I gotta bring it up here. My camera's hiding it.
Oh, I wasn't looking at the stream, sorry.
No, that's fine. You will not have a defenseless baby lying around your heart. Oh, you will not leave. When was the last time it blinked? Creepy.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that one. That's scary.
I mean, you were throwing zombie babies at us last stream.
That's because zombie babies are great.
Have you played Dead Space or seen it?
Yeah.
Have you played it?
I watched my buddy beat the game, so I know the whole story.
Okay. My ex, she loved it, and I was watching her play one time, and I think it's Dead Space 1 where you go in that, of course it's dark, everything's dark, but you go in this room and you see just the basically fish tanks in the wall, and there's like babies floating in them, and then one of the tanks is broken, and then you see kind of just see the shadow of something across the ceiling, and it's just like, nope.
That is a line that a lot of people won't cross.
Oh,
it's definitely one that keeps you on edge. So yeah, the gaining and harvesting, I think it's the essentially your group rolls a 1d6 at the end of the day, and if it's a 6, they don't use a supply. Now, what's really cool about that, correct?
Yeah.
And that's what represents your harvesting and stuff. And what's really cool about that is you could have areas, the rabble rouser that you're traveling through, that's like or even seasons, because seasons, like, oh, we're in spring, early summer, you could say, hey guys, you have a boon to your harvesting today. Or, hey, we're in desert, harsh conditions, you have a bane to your harvesting supplies today. So somebody does the group roll.
I like that. And it also, if your supply is everything, you know, your equipment and everything, you're like, your whole party scatters to try and find stuff. So it's like somebody's looking for bandages or something they can use as bandages. Somebody's looking for berries. Yeah. Okay, so let's get this on paper here. Harvesting supplies can only be acquired through safe zones while traveling. Party can roll 6+ to scavenge, so they don't have to consume a supply.
And to be clear, that's one party roll, not every single person in the party. Yeah. And so, Austin, typically that is how I run all my games. Is like, but we're making the feeling from traveling from safe zone to safe zone, or traveling wherever you're going. We want that traveling to be roleplay and difficult, and when you're outside of these areas, or when you're trying to establish other settlements and safe zones, or whatever it is you're doing, we want it to be challenging. We want that survival feeling.
Now, we're not leaning that heavily into the moss thing. It's just supplies, right?
It sucks because I really liked your moss thing, so I want to figure out how to incorporate that appropriately.
That could be a healing item or something. Replace potions.
I mean, I think that fits well. That makes the potions a lot better, but now we have to reword some of our other stuff, which is not a big deal. But that has that magic element. It fits the moss. It fits the edge of the magic, so we're not overdoing that side of things.
Moss brewed potions. Jacob's thinking hard over there.
Well, because I'm trying to think, like, what is that break? Or what Pandora's box does that open? You know what I mean?
What if you start using moss, or?
Correct. For magical properties like that. But maybe it doesn't.
I was thinking more grounded. Like, I have it in the OneNote when I was looking up, like, what all you can use moss stuff for. It's like, you can use it for medicinal type of things and healing up wounds and whatnot, so it makes sense. But you could also just flavor it like, hey, the supplies, or it's like, you could just say, hey, the food that you're bringing that travels well is moss packs or something. But we like the idea of only getting it from safe zones, right? No matter what it is, whether it's moss or just generic supplies. You're on board with that. And then the 6+ while traveling. I also meant to make a note. GM can add boons to the roll depending on the area. Lush forests may receive it. That's not how you spell receive. Receive a boon.
Like, man, what do we do with this moss though? Because like the potions is cool.
creepy bunny to, or creepy baby to innocent bunny. Sure, Blaze, sure.
I mean, okay, so let's go over the moss again. Let's go over your idea of it being a magical property or potions or something like that.
So
because it adds to the story, the lore that you've created for sure.
Well, lore-wise, the moss is moss for the most part. It is a vessel that the green voice is using. So, like, the green voice is providing the moss, but the moss is still moss. Like, the green voice may teach them how to use it, but the moss is not magical in of itself. It's just like they can use it for medicine because it does that naturally. That's how the moss is. They can use it for insulation. They can use it for clothes. They can use it for food. Blah, 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 blah. So they could make potions out of it, but the moss is not magical.
Okay.
It's just being guided by a magical entity, being.
Okay.
Think of the fungus from the old 80s Mario movie.
So, and let's see, I have to figure out where we have notes all over the place. We did away with potions originally, period.
We did away with the inclination healing thing.
Gave you the potions, right?
Alchemists
gave you potions.
We wanted to change potions and stuff to sandwiches. We were gonna have a cook. Sandwiches, yeah.
But now it's more moss than it is anything else, yeah?
Doesn't have to be.
I mean, what's wrong with a moss sandwich?
Could be pretty good. Moss sandwich. You could also leave the moss to be... That's what I'm looking for. Vague in the GM's hand how they want to incorporate it into the world. Again, and on a more serious note, looking at the fungus from the Mario movie, you know how it was there and then it tried to help Mario and Luigi as they were going through the movie. It did not have a voice, but it was trying to communicate with them. I don't know when the last time you watched that movie was, but it's been a while. Okay. So the GM could use the moss, like the moss could rapidly grow and cause a cave-in to crush a creature that's chasing them. They could say, oh, you find a bunch of moss, you know, like say the party is struggling, they have a bunch of wounds, and they go find shelter, and you're like, the moss is everywhere here. You can harvest some of this moss and recover some strikes or something. Similar to how the green voice is using the moss, the GM can become the green voice and control the moss how they see fit, instead of us trying to force it into mechanics. Which makes sense because most of the world does not believe in the moss anymore. That was the silent heresy. Everybody lost their faith for the most part. Now you just have the extremely devout. Which, hold up, miracles. We could bring miracles back. The friar, and then that goes through the moss. That's the vessel. Now I am
that fits the lore really nice too.
I have zero experience with the miracles. I do not know how they work because I've never gotten to use them or play with them or seen them in action.
Okay.
So
I don't think it'll break the game that we're trying to tell here.
yeah, but I like the idea though. Like, you take that concept from what I understand about miracles, but the GM has to use it through moss somehow. And like I was saying, it could be, oh yeah, cave-in crushes a monster because moss just rapidly grew and deteriorated whatever structure you were in. Crushes the monster. But or if you rolled bad on your miracle, it's like, yep, it brings it all down, but it's also bringing it down on you guys. So please roll high or you're all dead.
Yeah. My brain took away, yeeted the miracle side of things. So I'm going to pull up that document because I did take it down. I like where we're headed because your lore is beautiful.
Well, thanks,
and
man.
I want to incorporate that appropriately mechanically, because it's like, oh, that lore happened, but none of it ever really comes back unless the rabble rouser wants to dive deep into it. But now utilizing it in the miracle side, the healing side, the gifted side, so to speak, helps it tie in a little bit because of the few people who still believe in the moss, right?
Yep.
Recapping a little bit. Let's see, EZD6.
I'm just gonna search miracle.
I had the document closed because I was more focused on the wasted world side of it.
Can't use karma on miracles. Magic and miracles. Casting magic or calling miracles is a mini game that has different rules. And yeah, this is not given. All right, that doesn't tell me how to do it. Heroes with devout inclination call on miracles. You can ask a favor of your divine patron, but the likelihood the deity will directly intervene is small. Roll up to 3d6, similar to the magic, like a conjurer, but instead of instead of a power level, the roll represents the urgency of your prayer. The hero must equal or beat the aloofness roll of their deity to petition for a miracle. The rabble rouser will determine the number of aloofness dice rolled for the request. Example, resurrecting a fallen friend would be a 6d6 difficulty. Wow, while speak to the dead would be a 3d6. Miracles can only be asked for once per situation. Makes sense. And since the gods can be arrogant, no karma may be used. Miracles cannot be used to harm another being or cause damage. That's a good rule. I like that. Don't forget the hero die can be used to reroll. Rolling 1 automatically ends your chance of a miracle. But similar to spell burn, offerings made to a deity by heroes with the devout inclination will receive a blessing to re-roll all the dice for a prayer once per day. So it's very much in the hands of the GM. But I like the ground rule of this doesn't inflict damage, though that does take away my idea of crushing the structure on the monster. I mean, you didn't damage it directly, right?
I was just saying you didn't damage it directly. Well, because the argument would be not even damaging it. You slowed it down. You even trapped it.
Yeah.
In the crumbling. Like, damage is a funny word.
Yeah. It's Saxmania. 33 years old kids.
So, our gerbs. Let's go back to our gerbs here. I almost wish we did leave everything up on the Excalibur. We know for our next project, buddy. Rain, jump, group, test, streaming.
Then you just have
jobs.
To pan everywhere on Excalibur.
I know, but I'm used to it with Foundry. A pan all over the place.
You could have like a roadmap. You can just have little highways you make with the arrows. this is the Inclination Express.
That's hilarious. That's messy too. Well, because so we put it under student. We put priest. Because I wasn't sure if maybe one of the jobs that's the only job that I got access to the miracles, but that's
there was another part to this.
Another part to what?
The miracles. When you ask your god for a miracle, clearly explain what you intend the rabble rouser clearly explain what you intend so the rabble rouser can decide on the number of aloofness die to roll as resistance to the prayer, even if your deity would grant such a miracle. So I guess, let's see, rabble rouser judgment is final. Remember, the gods will only grant one miracle a scene. So, is the friar in vanilla EZD6? Is the friar rolling their magic resistance? Is that how that works? Against whatever the GM rolls.
Correct.
Okay, well, our magic is predator resistance.
Correct.
Or predator rating. So,
yeah.
Are we going to intimidate the moss into acting the way the way we want? How's that going to work? I mean, you could just say, because the scholars, priest, friars, whatever we were coming up with, they were going to have a higher predator rating.
Yeah,
because of their faith. So
predator resistance.
Yeah, and that was because of the faith. So you could It's just like a line of text to fix it. You could just say, just use your predator rating as the foundation of your faith or whatever. So I don't think that'll be a problem. And that way we're not adding a whole new mechanic that it functions. It's essentially the same. So you on board?
I mean, why not?
Yeah. Okay. So
It fits. I wanted miracle. Or I wanted some kind of friar situation to begin with. So this fits that too. Or even a crackpot. No, because I love the friar. A holy roller, a pious servant, or a crackpot. You decide.
Bring back miracles. Use vanilla EZD6 rules for miracles. The player's predator rating be the... So I like that. That's kind of... That gives the GM a lot of control. Kind of like when you want to do literally anything in nuts. You're like, I want to do this thing, and the GM determines what the challenge is, or the challenge rating. Whereas in this one, the GM determines what the challenge rating is, but they still have to do a roll. But they can increase their odds by saying, yeah, it's 66. So, oops. I'm learning how old Zach Zaney is. I had no idea.
Saw that.
Blaze is just a little kiddo in comparison. Alright, bring back miracles. Use this.
Well, because it all ties into the moss. So one reason I liked the miracles not using karma too, because remember how moss monsters we were saying karma doesn't work?
Right.
So like to me that ties it in too.
Yep. Okay. I forgot how we got on this train. Because we were looking at supplies. I forgot how we were on this train.
Well, it came down to we're just talking about rewards and the moss. Because I liked where you were heading with the moss, with it being a supply part, but it didn't quite fit quite right. But now we're talking the miracle. The moss is used for the potion making. I mean, you could bring back the alchemist part then. I like
the idea of the cook though. Sandwiches.
I know, I do like sandwiches. Yeah, we don't have to lose that. I mean,
so
but now we have the other side of it. We have the balance with the miracles.
Yes. But using food instead, still, that makes the moss more magical or more mysterious. Whereas if we had potions going around, it's like, okay, typical fantasy thing. It's like, no, now we just have that. The moss and stone are the only fantastical things going on here. And most of it is lost to everyone.
I mean, it fits that feeling because, like you said, if it was potions and magic, yeah.
Yep.
Thank you.
All right.
I couldn't put my finger on it, but you're doing a great job.
Thanks. So we can only harvest, or I'm sorry, not harvest. We get supplies, and the supplies we're back to general stuff. Like, this is your bandages, your little tinkering hammers, your foods.
Tinkering hammers.
Yeah.
Your weapon sharpening stone.
Yep, and you can scavenge for that when you're out and about.
Yep.
Okay. I still think, and I could be super wrong. I guess it depends on your luck of rolling on the hex, but I still think like 5. Unless you got stuck in a tile somewhere, I feel like you would be hard pressed to go 5 tiles without finding some kind of settlement. Now, your rank 1 settlement might not have any supplies for you to acquire, but it's a place you can stop and rest and not consume any. And then you could, I feel like settlements, actually it doesn't make sense, never mind. I was going to say a boon to rolling for your supplies, but those only last for that night. So let's hop back over here.
So what's here? Safe zones?
The ranks of the safe zones. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, we need to redo the ranks.
Yeah, so let's say rank 1. I'm gonna do it like
It's a campsite.
uh
Or a hole in the ground.
small
Or a hole in the tree.
basic needs, barely getting by.
Does it even have your basic needs?
Well, I was gonna say so because
It's more of like
you,
go ahead.
well, you can rest here without consuming stuff, but you can't acquire anymore.
Okay.
Yeah, and we may shuffle this around. You can rest here for healing without consuming supplies.
Misa old.
Cannot gain additional supplies. Now that I have said that, we did talk about trading. Remember?
We did, yeah.
Yeah, early on we had talked about acquiring stuff to trade to try and get supplies. So,
but I don't think a rank 1 place would have trading. I'm
thinking how that fits into this. Like, I mean, how are we going to just use money and say, I want 3 supplies, or are we going to have to trade something?
Or earn it.
Yeah.
So there's a part of me that trade works great in that post-apocalyptic setting. We're talking Redwall feeling. So like walking into a place that has an established community and just being like, hey, I got to refresh my supplies. Sure. Or, hey, we would love to, but we're struggling with this situation. Could you help us out with it? Side quest. Oh, look, our supplies are recovered.
You know, I don't know how well it worked, but I feel like a super easy solution might be, instead of saying you can hold X supplies, you don't have a number on that. It's like however many you want to bring. But since you can only get them through settlements, you just say this settlement can get you to this many supplies. So like a rank 1 can only give you 1 supply for the road. A rank 3 settlement can give you up to 5 supplies. That way you can make longer journeys before having to find another one. But you can never go past. So like if you came into a rank 3 settlement that only gets you up to 5, but you already have 7 supplies, there's nothing they can give you. You're already over the limit.
Yeah.
That makes sense?
I mean, that would definitely make things less complicated.
That would be super easy, but then that all your trading goes out the window and stuff like that.
So I guess when you're picturing this setting, when you're picturing Redwall, when you're picturing these, was trading a big part of it?
No, I just wanted something that would give players a reason to loot. Say, Wasted World has scrap. Scrap metal is king in that one. And not only, you know, there's the joy of finding it, but now in that one, you're like, how do I get this back? That's another challenge you have.
Yeah.
So, like, if you kill a bunch of bandits in a scrapyard, you know, an old abandoned junkyard, you have all this scrap. You're rich if you can get it back to the settlement. So
right.
Well,
then our scrap will be sandwiches. No, I'm just kidding.
Sandwiches. But you know, like if you kill a snake, is that any value to a settlement? Like, can you skin it?
No,
and bring the scales?
safety.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I don't know what we could trade.
Right, because originally I was like, oh, we'll trade supplies because you could give extra supplies to a safe zone. But I don't. I think I'm actually leaning towards go over exactly what you said again. I want to hear it again.
I'm going to do a big doodle here. Doodle while I talk. We'll see how it works. So you have rank 1, right? Settlement.
Correct. Yep.
It can give you 1 supply max. Right? 1 supply max. If you come into this settlement with 3 supplies, that's a good 3, isn't it? They can't give you anything. You have more than what they can offer.
Yeah.
So let's say rank 2, they can give you, and these numbers are going to make no sense.
Yep.
But rank 2 can provide 4 supplies max.
Yeah.
So if you came in here with 3 supplies, you would come out with 4 supplies.
Yep.
If you came in here with 5 supplies, you will come out with 5 supplies.
Yep.
So that way you don't say, oh, you can only hold this many supplies, which does remove boons and perks from backpacks or beasts of burdens and stuff like that. But that just really simplifies it. And this does reiterate the whole, hey, we're all in this together, we're sharing. If you can just come into a place freely and get stocked up for the road.
Now, if you have more than a max, maybe you could get some kind of perk because you get I don't know. No, that's
Or you could trade. I was say you could give up a supply for something else, maybe like healing items, your sandwiches.
Yeah, when you leave with the rank 1 and you only have 1 supply or 3 or whatever you left with, right?
Mm-hmm.
So interesting. Processing a rank 1, you'll almost never be able to go there as a pit stop without having extra supplies.
Yeah, you'll still get to rest there, like we were talking about, and heal. Yeah. But then they can't give you anything additional for the road.
Yeah.
So, like, if you're looking at the map, you could be like, dang, that's a long journey, and then there's just this tiny little settlement, and then that's it before the next one. Or it's like, oh, hey, if we take a few tiles detour, we can hit up a huge city, get a bunch of supplies, and, wing our way back.
That would actually encourage, like, there are parts of the map that are almost locked off without it being an extremely dangerous trek because you have no way of replenishing your supplies and you're not sure what's beyond that point. So you're going to either want to help establish something, a settlement or a spot, so that you have a camp area or something, right? A base camp, essentially.
Yep. I'll draw you an option here. So this is one route where you start. You could have a fairly lengthy journey to a small town. We'll say rank 1. And then big city. But let's say along the ride, you have a lush forest, right?
Yep.
You could also have it here too. So you're like, okay, well, we'll get a boon to our harvesting and foraging rolls, but there's a chance we might not have enough food and our journey's going to get a little rough. Or actually, let's just say this is where you want to go. This is just your target.
Yeah, target location, yeah.
And then you have this alternate route that's like a huge city.
Yeah.
Huge city. And then it goes like that. It's still one stop, and then you have this long journey here.
Yeah.
But you have the supplies for it. Or alternatively, you could say, all right, it's a short journey to this huge city. We get a bunch of supplies. But then right here, you have a really dangerous zone to get through.
Yeah.
Danger zone. So then you have a choice. It's like, okay, do we risk hunger and food? Maybe we'll this looks like a safe journey, but where food supplies are going to be scarce, we may go a day without food and take a strike. Low chance of encounters. Or do we go up to this big city, get all the supplies, and go through the danger zone? Or we go on a very long journey with those supplies we have.
And then
Dave.
Does that mean I liked your burst better. You had a B, then you deleted it.
Hello, burst.
Or Bruce or something. I don't remember what he said. But
Brewski.
Now, does this do away with the max we can carry?
Yes. That would be no more. That's what I was saying. That would remove backpacks, your beasts of burden, and bonuses
Why
like
would
that.
it remove all that?
Because the town's determining what you get.
Right.
I mean, I guess you could. You could still say that. Say, yep, you're allowed to hold 5 max unless you have X, Y, and Z thingies, but then the town still provides you.
Yeah.
But like, if you have a beast of burden and you hit a rank 1 town, you're not getting any more just because you have a beast of burden.
Correct.
So you could do that, and that.
Now, does that get a but? Because I liked our supply die, but now would we the whole harvesting gaining supplies thing? Would that would go away too then?
The supply dice?
Well, yeah, where you roll a d6 when you're at a spot where you can do it, kind of thing.
No, you still forage to see whether or not you're going to consume a supply that you have with you.
Okay.
This is just simplifying how you get them.
Yeah.
And that kind of makes sense now I'm thinking about what the beast of burden. It's like, oh, you go into a big city. That's where you could stock up a horse or whatever, or a bug. So, or if you had a cart.
I still think that there is a max that your group can carry.
Yeah, I'm thinking so. Now we go about that.
But I absolutely love, because now we don't have to worry about the trading mechanic. You don't have to worry, and it feels like it has that community mechanic. But it also allows you to show up at a community that's gone isolationist, and they don't let you in, and they're like, hey, you can't have our supplies because we were recently attacked and we're freaking out. And so that allows some really cool role play moments of like, well, shoot, we're down to 2 supply.
I also really like the idea of being able to trade in excess supplies for strong, like a potion in EZD6 is pretty strong.
Correct.
So you could trade,
supplies for sandwiches.
I'll say one supply for 1 sandwich. And now that's, you have this 1 day less you could travel, but if you're, for example, going through this danger zone here, it's like, I might want a sandwich or 2 to get me through that. So I like it. Let's get some of this down. So let's see. I'll put that over here.
I think that makes it a little less of that
Sounds
post-apocalyptic feeling. Yeah. No, I like this. This is cool.
Supply amount. For example, a rank 1 safe zone can only supply.
You know what's funny is I did not expect to spend this much time on safe zones, but I think it's important that we're differentiating the difference between our safe holds and our safe zones and the holds of the wasted worlds. And I like that this is a much more Redwall feeling to it. So we're hitting the nail on the head.
So all settlements, unless otherwise established, you can rest and restore there without consuming. Right?
Correct.
All right, so all settlements allow rest and healing without. Now, hear me out on this. Without consumption of supplies. Smaller settlements take longer to heal. I don't know if days are going to be that important, but it's like, oh, you're in a tiny settlement. They barely have anything.
Once you're at the safe zone, days don't matter. Right?
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking.
But in between the safe zones is where the time matters.
Yeah. All right, so rank 1, small basic needs, barely getting by, can rest here. That's everything. Do we want to rank 1? I guess makes sense. It can provides 1 supply.
Yeah, but that's no longer the camp then. This goes back to the established towns and cities.
Yes.
Okay. This is a random inn in the woods.
That or just like a farmhouse or something.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we can work on the flavor too more. So rank 2, small village kind of thing.
I mean, I think 3, 5. Like rank 2 is 3 points and rank 3 is 5 supply.
For safe zones, you mean?
Yep.
Do we want 6 so you can roll, or do we want 3 so you can roll a d3?
I see. Okay, keep going. Small village.
I can see where we could use more than 3, but I don't know if we can squeeze it out to 6.
Correct. That's my.
So.
Well, I mean, unless you did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
I don't know. I'd like the cities to supply you with 10 or something. Like, that's a lot. But that would be a rare, well-established city.
Cities, yeah.
Yeah, that's the whole abandoned junkyard that rodents have taken over.
You're on a junkyard kick today, bud.
I am. I like junkyards. Well, I was trying to think of something abandoned that the rodents would live in. Small village. So what? 2 supplies? 3 supplies? Is a bunny that can jump 18 meters with 1 hoop normal? With 1 hop normal? I don't know. What are meters? How many freedom units is that?
That's I believe they're close to a yard. So that's 18 times 3. That's ridiculous.
That's a lot. That's the Dragoon Bunny. He's taking our ideas.
Yeah, he's stealing stuff from us.
Shame on Blaze.
Shame on Blaze.
What's the opposite of a shout out? That's what I'm going to give you next video.
Call
out.
Sure.
Well, shout out's like when you're acknowledging somebody's accomplishments or giving them attention.
You could say shout out negative. No.
What are meters? I know what a meter is. I'm just trying to think.
We're just teasing.
I'm trying to.
He just wanted to say freedom units.
I used to use millimeters all the time when I was machining, so
yeah, exactly.
I'm familiar with that.
So the increase is huge at this point. So if we want to do 6 ranks. If you rank 6 is your metropolis.
I was gonna say, instead of putting a number on it now, let's just give it a little abstract. So biggest.
Sure.
Giant city, well-established location, provides 10 supplies.
Yeah.
Well, I said we just go with it. And we get a full heal when we rest in a safe zone, right?
Yeah.
All right. So biggest.
So you're talking, we're doing biggest, bigger, big.
Well, instead of putting numbers on them, I was just trying to think. It's like, all right, so we have a farmhouse or just, this tiny little thing, like 5 people or whatever. That's our small.
That's
and then
smallest.
you have, I think I even put in the documents somewhere when I was noting down safe zones. It's like the biggest one would be, I always think of Juneau from Final Fantasy XI. That's my central hub, big city vision, whatever. I had to give the bunny something to differentiate it from other pets. What else could I have taken other than the lesser talent jumper? Boing! So, we may only do 3. Because, tiny... and that also gives wiggle room, right? Because you just have, like, here's a small establishment. That could be anything from a farmhouse to just a small village with 10 to 15 people. And then rank 2 is like, hey, this is a village that's getting along. They got multiple people. And then you have well-established grand city. And then you can just roll D6 and divide by 2, right?
That's the easy way to do it.
Okay.
Or you have 6 of them, and they're called smallest, smaller, small, big, bigger, biggest.
Well, see, I mean, I could make that work, but the small ones, like now, okay, now you are getting into campsites basically, and it's like, is that actually a settlement you'd be safe in? I mean, so
Correct. So I do think we need to reel back a little bit and do the
3.
1, 2, and 3. Yeah,
All right.
that's what I was trying to figure out because it was like, yeah,
So rank 2, small village unit, small basic needs, barely getting by. Could be a single farmhouse, I do like the idea of like, hey, here is a camp, but like, there's 5 to 10 people here, like they all have their own tents, or a large campsite.
Well, that kind of leaves open too. You could have your traveling band of good
Honestly,
doers.
if you have and this is the idea I was getting from Twice Dead Mage at the beginning. Like, I kind of like the makeshift camp setup. So maybe if you're carrying a wagon and you have all these supplies and can set up a proper campsite, maybe you get, an additional boon to foraging for stuff or something.
Yeah, some cool roleplay moments for that for sure.
Yep.
And that allows setting up a rank 1, this cool roleplay. So you're in a rank 3, you're in the highest. You're like, listen, we want to go check out what's going on over there, far away. But to get there, we want to establish something. Who would like to come establish a little base camp? Yeah. And then you can literally travel out to a point where you're running low on supplies. Hey, you 10 people that came with us, this is where you're going to start. And what do you want to call this place? That's kind of a cool role play of like, you start with this big group of adventurers. They start establishing a rank 1 settlement area, safe zone. Sorry, rank 1 safe zone. And then boom, you have a hub that you can go back and forth to, but also gives a hub for the GM to mess with or draw the attention of a local, rather large predator.
Yeah. And when I'm like these rank 1 campsites, what I'm thinking of is like, they have, their tents and stuff, but they also have like some semi-permanent structures there that they have set up. Like maybe just some palisades around the tent or around their campsite. It's not something you just drop instantly when you set up camp. It's like, no, they've been here a while. So it's made that area safer.
They built a little tree house and a lookout area, or something.
Yeah. It's not permanent, but it's definitely not something you pick up and go. So maybe 2 supplies for those? 2 or 3? I feel like 1 might, if we're only having 3 ranks, I feel like 1 might be a little dire. 2.
Are we thinking 3, 6, 10?
I think 3 might be too much for these tiny ones.
2, 5, 10?
2. Let's do 2. And this is a small village. Provides 4? 5?
Sure.
4?
I think 4. That way, you're probably your most common one that's going to eventually be established. You're going to have probably a lot of rank 2s around the map. I could see that.
Yeah. Also, I did that wrong. I'm sorry. Brain farting. You could have those, if rank 1s are campsites, you could have those all over the place. And that gets you a couple days, so.
Yeah. Gives you 2 days, essentially.
Yeah. And that, I was going to say, you could even get a boon to harvesting that night, but the 2 supplies are on your way out, so it doesn't matter. If they give you 10 boons that night, it's not going to change anything. Yeah. So, rank 3, big bustling city. 10 supplies.
Bustling city.
Your bed is calling. Blaze, don't do it. Slumber and raise up stronger tomorrow. Have fun designing your settlement. Thanks, man.
Good night, bud. So yes, that's what's happening. I like this. I like the safe zones. I really appreciate you walking me through it because I wanted it to be different than Wasted Worlds. And this is much different, and this is absolutely capturing that community feeling, and that's what I want to do.
Now, 5 supplies as much as you can carry.
And then
that only becomes a problem when you hit a rank 3. Five
why
seems
does that become a problem?
well. If five's as much supplies as you can carry, you'll never go over that. Hitting up rank 1 and 2 places, it won't be till you hit a rank 3 that you're like, oh dang, I can't actually carry all these, and we can't acquire more supplies while journeying because we've decided you only get them from settlements, and they cap at what they give you. Like they don't. So if you come in to rank 2 or 1 with 5, there's nothing they can do for you. They have nothing to give you. Or even if you had 4. So like, let's say you have 4, you're at a rank 2, which provides up to 4, and you're like, well, I'm already at 4, and I have this empty slot for another supply. That's only an issue until you get to rank 3.
Is that a problem?
No, it just seems like a weird, and this is why I was getting rid of it first. It seems weird to have a limit on it.
Yeah, but you can increase that limit, because I thought we were doing the, like, your base group has 5, each person's backpack adds 1, carrying unit adds 3, there's an inclination that adds 3, or whatever. I'm throwing numbers out there. Or is
Good
that too
job,
much
Peter.
tracking for you? He made it.
Nah,
Do you get what I'm saying?
What were you saying?
No, it's all good. Your base of your group is 5.
Yes.
Then you add a +1 for each backpack in the group?
No.
Okay. Why?
Now you're making it too complicated.
What about a pack meal adds 5?
Five slots or 5?
5 slots.
Okay, yeah. See, I like that. I don't want to add 1 slot per party if it's going to be a party resource, because then it's just like,
Yep.
yeah. So, it's old Grognard. What's up, man? And I like the Beast of Burden giving you more, but we do not have a way to acquire more supplies because we have cut it off. It's like, nope, you only get it from supplies, and they can only get you up to this amount. So putting a limit on what you can carry seems artificial is not the word I'm looking for. Not pointless, but it doesn't seem needed, because it's like, well, I only get them from this one place, and they have a limit on what they can give me. Why do I have a limit? You know, that's good on rank 3s because they can give you all the way up to 10. But I guess I'm asking, is it worth it to have that limit just for one city or one rank for it to be an issue? And would that make a Beast of Burden worth investing in?
See, I like the idea of investing in the Beast and Burden.
Me too. And that could just be a small perk on the Bugmaster's class. It's like you get, like the rider. It's like, yep, you can ride giant bugs or whatever, and they do all this other great stuff. Also, they can carry more supplies.
So, but your suggestion is to still get rid of the cap.
Well, hang on. I think Peter's got something here. Sounds like the issue is that the carry capacity cap won't come up because you won't be able to acquire enough supplies to reach that limit until rank 3. So it's rule structure that won't be interacted with until you get to... Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. Like you have this rule that 99% of the time does not apply. So you can still have it. And I like having that limit, but at the same time, since we don't gain supplies, and we don't gain supplies because I feel like we've decided that makes supplies too easy, because you can just get them constantly.
Yeah.
So,
well, then do away with the cap. That'll do away with the inclination.
or do we want, say, hey, if you have a Beast of Burden, you just automatically get +1 supply per rank? So like a rank 1, it gives you your regular 2 plus 1 for your beast. A rank 2 gives you your 4 plus 2. Your rank 3 gives you your 10 plus 3.
That's simple math.
It is, and you're not, again, your limit just goes out the window.
Right. And that way we can get rid of the limit.
And you can also look at it as rank 3. These are well-established cities. It's not so much that they're just loading you up with massive amounts of supplies. They're giving you high-quality supplies.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
Whereas, like your rank 1 place is like, oh yeah, we can give you some food, but it'll go bad in 2 days because it's fresh. Yeah.
It's bread and there's no preservative and
yeah. Whereas the city has like the drying racks and the smokehouses and stuff.
Yeah. And spices.
And spices.
Yeah, I mean that works.
Peter, what is the word? I don't know if you were here at this part. I was trying to figure out when something's not artificial. It's not bloat, but it's just when a mechanic is in there just to be in there. I have the word like right there on the tip of my tongue. A nonsense mechanic would be a meaner way of saying it, but there's a proper term for it.
Well, especially with the way we're doing supplies, it is a nonsense mechanic at this point.
Yeah. And dang it, I was just thinking of it in the writing world and had it contrivance, a plot contrivance is when that something's there simply to make the plot go along. Dang it, I'm flubbing. Could have the number of supplies available at a city superfluous. Ooh, that's a fun word. Have the number of supplies available at a city be a die roll based on rank, so you have a chance of going over your capacity. 1 equals 1d4 plus supply. Doesn't Wasted World do something?
That's Wasted Worlds. You roll a d6 to see what supplies are available at the hold. But it is not based off of level, it's just what is available at the hold.
Yeah.
Their limitation is the character's wealth, the survivor's wealth level.
Yes. And we're not doing that, right? We're not doing anything with money.
Nah. I don't think it fits this system.
It doesn't. But also, if we go the route we're going, that means we won't ever be able to trade extra supplies. So, well, no, I take that back. I'm sorry. Yeah, we could. If we left a rank 3 and came to a rank 2, we could. We absolutely could. So that means rank 3s will never be able to give you. You'll never be able to trade. You can't give them anything they don't have, which kind of makes sense.
Well, it's a city.
Yeah.
Plus, there's not going to be a lot of rank 3s.
Yeah, the town is rank 1, but maybe there's pretty short on supplies today, so they only have one supply yet. Yep. What you're onto there, Peter, sounds like, what is in Wasted Worlds already. But Wasted World has some other mechanics, like the rolling for supplies constantly coming and going a little faster than what we're doing. Because you can consume multiple supplies at once in Wasted World, which we're not doing because we don't have guns. We don't have bazookas to supply.
Technology to repair.
Yeah, so we've kind of simplified.
One of the things is repairing tech.
Yeah. So I like what we got, and then beasts of burden provide plus rank at each city supplies. Right?
Yep.
So rank 1 equals 2 supplies plus 1. Rank 2 equals 4 supplies plus 2. 3 equals. That's not equals. That plus. I'm dying. Plus 3.
You're good.
All right. Man, yeah, I do like the idea of like hitting up a big city and loading up and then going to smaller places.
Well, then each one of them can be filled with hooks and like that's so much fun, to be able to do that. And then essentially that's your trading. You're running a trade outfit to help these other places grow. Because you're gonna show up and be like, "Hey, I have a whole bunch of supplies. Would you like them to help your settlement on top of. We would like some sandwiches.
Contrived, deliberately created rather than arising naturally or spontaneously. I think that's the word I was looking for. It's a very contrived mechanic.
You got stuck on that.
I did.
Good.
But yeah, that is also what I was talking about, writing a plot contrivance. It's just there. There's no reason for it to be there. You know, the writer said, "I want this," because I can't think of a way to solve it otherwise.
I think it's time to put the pen on this one.
Yeah, we're coming up on 2 or 3 year time. So
Yeah.
But we got safe zones down. I think we got supplies hammered out pretty good. Peter, you can see our fancy moss and stone thing that Glee made us real quick. Just like 2 seconds. She said, slap, slap, slap. And there it was. She's just that good. I don't know how much time she spent on it. But she's pretty fast when she does that stuff.
Is she?
Oh, yeah.
She got skills.
Once she knows what she wants, she can just do it. Now, she might sit in the planning phase for a while and look at fonts for days. But yeah, we got settlements, traveling, harvesting. We did a lot of lore stuff. The moss is becoming... I like where the moss is going. We added miracles. That was the other big thing. We worked miracles back into this. So that'll be fun. We did. That was a big to do. Big change.
And our safe zones make sense.
Safe zones make sense. We'll see how well they work. We got a lot of gaming to do, I guess. Yeah, a lot of testing to do.
That's the fun part, though.
Yeah. That's when you get to kick it into high gear and do all the work.
Perfect. Awesome.
Plan sessions. All right. Yeah.
No, it's good.
All right. I think. Yeah.
I mean, I know we didn't get all of our list done today, but I do think this was an important function that we did.
Yep. So next step is probably safe zones and traveling.
I think it's gonna be the fine-tuning gerbs and species.
Yeah.
Now that we have our safe zone and feeling of story really implemented, on top of the tinkering tools.
Tinker tools and the stones, that was a big one because that was lore stuff. So
yeah, so maybe let's put those at the top.
Yeah,
because those might have a big effect on how we do the rest.
Stone. Let's see. Work on stone. I'll put that in quotes. Stone items. Work on tinker tool items. Because that will also dictate some classes too and inclinations, which are also. Like, do we want stone items to be an inclination? And then tinker tools might be job specific. That would be a good job. It's like, all right, you pick this job. Now you have access to tinker tools. And then the specializations do different things with those tools.
Yep. I definitely can see that.
Yeah. Or the stone items. The stone items might be one of the scholar specializations, or student. I guess student's the job. So master of the stone.
Master of the stone.
That one might actually be the one that gets miracles, because you're so in tune with all that, you're able to pick up the memories and stuff from the stones.
Yeah. And that can give you, oh man. Oh, and the miracles can come in many forms. Sorry, Jacob goes right to the roleplay and how that all works.
Oh yeah, for sure. Decorate our board here. Moss and stone. Yeah, you can see the early moss and stone.
It's all pretty.
Yeah. Very good. All right, we got a plan. Got a roadmap. I'm excited to start playing some though.
Absolutely.
Jacob looks like he's about to fall asleep.
Yeah, I'm crashing hard. and I have a lot to do still.
Fun stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pumped to test this out for sure. I've always wanted a red wall, and like I tried making something like this for 5th edition, and it's 5th edition, so it didn't work well.
You wanna run a bunch of nuts games for me? It's technically done. I'm actually eyeballing the Kickstarter process. So
Yeah, we can do some play testing.
Poked Peter yesterday for some art. Thinking about getting his wifey to draw some fun characters.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah,
that's very exciting. Then there's Bash Kim.
that's
Did I
done.
pick up that book? No, you gotta. People gotta pick it up though.
Pick it up and read it. Yep.
Yeah, they gotta buy it.
Get
Read
that.
it.
Get that.
Gotta buy it.
And your wife's gotta edit the next one. Yeah, man. There's all kinds of moving parts going on here.
I know. That's exciting for you, right?
Yeah.
Awesome.
No, I mean it is,
Oh.
but like editing the next book costs money. Getting art costs money for nuts.
I know.
Then we'll have to put money into moss and stuff. Everything I want to do
know.
costs money.
That's literally. I'm surprised we don't have to pay for breathing.
Getting that way.
What was that? Was that the Lorax movie?
I haven't
Made you wanna
seen
pay
that
for air?
movie.
I might be mixing up movies, but I thought that was the one where they wanted you to pay for air.
Bye, Ice. We're actually wrapping up, so you're not gonna miss anything. And dang good.
Thanks for being here. I can try too. Yeah.
Woo! I am excited.
I'm very excited.
Excited for all the moving parts. There's just gets a little scary when you think about how much everything costs. It's like, when do I start making money?
I mean, if you're in this to make money, you might have. I'm just kidding.
I picked the wrong thing.
Well, we have a lot of awesome people, so
Bottled air from O'Hare, Glee says.
that's right. Yeah,
Well,
awesome.
let's wrap it up, and we will be here next week, right, Jacob? No
I
conflicting
think
schedules.
next week's good. I'd have to double check.
Nothing's on mine, so Lord willing, we will be here. I guess if Jacob's not here, I can work on lore stuff. It might be pretty boring from y'all's perspective, but we'll see what we can do. Maybe we'll just play games. That's the neat part, you don't? Why is that true? Oh, jeez. All right.
Awesome.
See y'all next week. And enjoy the video
Sounds
that
good.
dropped today if you haven't already.
Yeah, go watch